The story opens on the grand facade of the Midgar Academy, a place of learning and, more recently, mass casualties. Inside, the profoundly untalented Hayoro wails in agony, having lost everything despite his best efforts at cheating, bellowing, "Bluag! Bawai! I spent the entire night practicing how to cheat at poker, and I still lost!" His equally pathetic friend Jaga joins the chorus, accusing Sid of ruining their non-existent bright futures. It was a tragic sight. Two young men whose life savings were just transferred to the pockets of a boy who considered them little more than props for his background character persona. Hayoro desperately clings to the hope offered by the crippling debt he has accrued from the Mitsubishi Corporation. Sid, utterly bored by their theatrics, internally dismisses the recent terrorist attack that traumatized the nation as a dime-a-dozen affair. He nonchalantly considers his sister's coma, confident that his secret organization will handle the minor inconvenience of her near-death experience. As his friends plot petty revenge involving stolen chocolates, Sid serenely enjoys his life as an unassuming mob character. A card is suddenly flicked through the air toward the oblivious protagonist. He catches the Mitsubishi Royal Luxury Bar membership card, noting with mild interest that he is the esteemed member number 001. Sid recalls a vague promise from Gamma and immediately begins fantasizing about the clandestine spy movie conversations he could have. Now 2 million zeni richer at the expense of his friends, he decides to indulge his cinematic delusions. Truly, the greatest treasures in life are the friends you can mercilessly fleece for every last coin. That night, he locates the bar, tucked away in a suitably discreet and shadowy alley. He admires his reflection, clad in a sharp new suit provided by Alpha, a fine replacement for the disguise he'd previously ruined. Steeling himself, he prepares to enter the establishment and fully commit to his act as a powerful, mysterious figure. Sid coolly presents his unique membership card to the doorman. An elegant elf employee immediately intercepts, recognizing him as Mr. Sid Kagano and offering to escort him to the VIP booth. For the sake of authenticity, Sid rejects the special treatment and opts for a seat at the bar counter. He almost slips up and orders his favorite childish beverage before catching himself mid-thought. Leaning in with practiced coolness, Sid delivers the most iconic line his pop-culture-addled brain can muster. Vodka martini, shapen, not stirred. His stunningly beautiful and dangerously competent second-in-command, Alpha, materializes beside him to tease his uncharacteristic order. Sid, of course, was merely congratulating himself on a successful LARP, completely unaware he was speaking to the de facto leader of his global syndicate. Alpha expresses her delight at finally seeing him wear the suit she personally had made for him. She then graciously forgives him for standing her up, a slight Sid has absolutely no memory of committing. He greets her, privately relieved that she seems to have forgotten about the massive counterfeit currency scandal he orchestrated. Alpha casually orders a Manhattan from another of their elite undercover operatives. She begins her report,
detailing how his offhand nuggets of wisdom are now allowing Mitsuboshi to produce and profit from whiskey, much to Sid's internal annoyance. She plays into his fantasy perfectly, confirming the bar is secure for a report, which sends a thrill through the blissfully unaware Sid. Alpha introduces the bartenders, Chi and Omega, as fellow members of the esteemed Shadow Garden. The overeager Omega promises to pour her soul into his drink, promptly spilling it everywhere. The equally nervous Chi takes over, chiding her partner for being pathetic before also spilling the cocktail. A perfectly crafted vodka martini is at long last presented to their master. Sid takes a single, sophisticated sip and is immediately assaulted by the overwhelming taste of strong alcohol. Defeated, he abandons all pretense of coolness and makes his true request. "Actually, give me your finest apple juice."
Now armed with a more suitable beverage, Sid gets down to business, asking Alpha for a mission update. She details their successful political manipulations in the kingdom of Oriana, all of which she attributes to his grand, inscrutable design. Alpha then playfully confesses a pang of jealousy over the attention he showered on Princess Oriana during their last operation. The report shifts to the Academy, where the beastkin Zeta has brutally annihilated what was left of the terrorist group Fenrir. Alpha notes they successfully covered up Shadow Garden's involvement, framing it all as a simple terrorist incident, and apologizes for Zeta's lazy paperwork. For the members of Shadow Garden, mass slaughter was business as usual. Filing the subsequent reports, however, was the real chore. Sid sagely declares that peace should now be restored, a naive notion Alpha immediately refutes. She reveals that a student named Eliza Darc'icon murdered her classmates during the attack, but was inexplicably declared innocent. Sid feigns shock, while internally thinking her villainy is too amazing, that is. Misinterpreting his awe as righteous fury, Alpha agrees that the kingdom is more corrupt than they had feared. She identifies Eliza's father as the leader of a group embodying this corruption, the 13 Nightblades. The deliciously edgy name instantly captivates Sid, as Alpha explains their deep ties to the cult of Diabolos. She slides him the file on the corrupt detective who cleared Eliza's name, a man now marked for death. Alpha concludes that while the 13 Nightblades are a target, their current operations in Oriana take precedence. Sid ignores her, his mind fixated on the glorious name of the 13 Nightblades, his poker cards forgotten. A wicked grin spreads across his face as a new, magnificent idea for his eminence in shadow persona begins to form. He abruptly stands, telling Alpha to put his apple juice on his tab. Amused, Alpha correctly senses that her master has another grand, chaotic scheme brewing. Sid strikes a final dramatic pose amidst a swirling vortex of playing cards, leaving her with a cryptic promise: "You'll learn in due time, once night falls."